All right, all these graphing problems are non-calculator. We have y equals 2x minus 3. Since the degree is 1, we know that it's going to be linear, so it's going to make a line when I'm done. If you recall, the number that's not attached to the x is going to be the y-intercept, and the number that it is attached to the x is going to be the slope. So I'm going to start with the y-intercept of negative 3, so I'm going to go down on the y-axis at negative 3 and put a point. And then since my slope is 2, that's actually 2 over 1, so from the negative 3 I'm going to rise 2 and run 1. So then I'm just going to connect those 2 points, and I have my line with arrows on the ends, of course. All right, the next one, if I'm looking at the x, it again is a degree of 1, so I know that it's going to be a line when I graph it. On this one, I would like it to say y equals, so the first thing that I'm going to do is actually subtract 5x from both sides, so I'm going to get 3y equals 9 minus 5x, and then I'm going to divide all 3 parts by 3, so I'm going to get y equals 3 minus 5/3 x. All right, the part that does not have the x on it is the 3, so that means it's going to touch, the line is going to touch the x-axis at 3. 1, 2, 3, right there. Oops. And then from here, since the slope is negative 5/3, I'm going to go down 5 and then over 3, and then put a point. And then I'm going to connect those 2 points. Whoops. Put our line there and put arrows on the end, and voila, I've got my line again. Okay, this one is absolute value, so now I know when I'm done graphing it, it's going to look like a V. I know what's going to happen. This plus 3 is going to force me to go to the left 3 because we do the opposite. And then the minus 1 is going to force me to go down 1. So starting at 0, 0, I'm going to go to the left 3 and then down 1 and put a point. So my vertex, which we'll want to get in the habit of labeling, my vertex is going to be at negative 3, negative 1. Okay, then from here, this negative 2 is going to be the slope of my absolute value. So from here, I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Okay, since it is absolute value, I know that I have to do the same thing in the other direction. So I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, and from there, I do have my V-shaping figure. There we go, with arrows on it, of course. Okay, and then this last absolute value one, again, it's absolute value, so I know it's going to look like a V. This one, since there's nothing inside of with the x, I'm going to stay put. So stay put. And then this plus 4 is going to make me go up 4. So I'm going to stay put and then go up 4. I'll put a point, which means my vertex is going to be at 0, 4. Okay, and then from here, my slope is a negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and then do the same thing on the other side since it's an absolute value, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So if I graph it, it should look something like that. All right, more graphs. We have y equals 1/2 to the x. This is an exponential function. Just because of the nature of it, we've got something to a power on this one. There's nothing out here, which means the graph is going to touch at 1. And the 1/2, since it is less than 1, my graph is going to decay instead of grow. So I'm going to try to draw a nice smooth exponential curve here. And it's just going to keep getting smaller and smaller. So your graph should look something like that. All right, this one says to actually choose the exponential function that fits the graph. So I notice that this one is touching up at 2, so it has to be this one basically, because it starts at 2, so it has to be 2 times, and it's 4 to the x because it is increasing exponentially, and this number is bigger than 1. So it's going to be choice B. The reason that it's not choice C is because the 1/4 is smaller than 1, so the graph would actually be going the other way, and it's not going to be choice D because choice D would give me the equation of a line. Okay, problem number 7 says y equals negative 3, parentheses x plus 1 squared minus 2. This is a quadratic function, so I know it's going to look something like a U or upside down U when I'm done graphing it. I can get the vertex right away on this one. It's just going to be the opposite of the x, which is going to be negative 1, and strictly the y value. So that's my vertex, and so if you remember what we did, we put it in our xy table, so negative 1, negative 2 goes in the middle. I went 2 in each direction, so if we go 2 in one direction, we'll get negative 3, or in the other direction we'll get 1. And then what we're going to do is plug negative 3 in for the x. We'll type that in our calculator, and when we do that, I believe we get negative 14. All right, and then when I plug in 1, I also get negative 14, and then I'm ready to graph it. Unfortunately, it goes a little bit off our graph. Oh well, so negative 3, negative 14 is going to be way down there somewhere. And then negative 1, negative 2, to the left 1 and down 2. and then 1, negative 14 is also way down there again. So it's just a very skinny parabola. We'll try to make it a nice smooth curve. It is going down, and I knew that because of the negative. Okay, the next one, y equals x squared plus 4x minus 2. I also know that this one's going to look like a u because of its quadratic. And so this one we have to find the vertex. So if you remember, we're going to put a equals and b equals. A will equal 1 because nothing's in front of the x squared. B will equal 4. And then if you remember the formula we used, it's opposite b over 2a. So the opposite of b is negative 4. And then over 2 times my a value, 2 times 1 is 2. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So if I draw my xy chart, negative 2 is going to go in the middle, and then we'll use our calculator to plug in negative 2 right here. We definitely want to put the negative 2 in parentheses, so be careful when you do that. And I believe you'll get negative 6 when you plug that in. And then we just want to go 2 in each direction. I'm going to go negative 4 and 0. When I plug negative 4 in again, and we'll want to use parentheses when we do that, we'll end up getting negative 2. And then the other one is obviously also negative 2. So we're ready to graph, so go to the left 4 and down 2. Then we'll go to the left 2 and down 6. And then we'll go 0, stay put, and go down 2. And then I've got my nice parabola on that one. And there we go.